So, well done. Hope you all had a sumptuous lunch. If it was real life, which one day hopefully we are, we would definitely have provided you with lunch. But I hope you managed to find something. And I hope that you've all enjoyed this morning. I know that I've certainly, I learn all the time. And I think that's what Chantel's message was keep on being a student, be a student of life while you're getting your qualifications. So that's definitely what I'm doing. And I'm loving being able to sit through the sessions. Thank you, all of you who've returned after lunch. This session now is definitely not going to disappoint. I've known Sibongile off and on for a number of years, and she is one of those people who is just truly passionate about supply chain management and all facets of it, the end-to-end supply chain. And she shares our common voice in that, trying to make people understand that supply chain management is more than one thing. It is a whole load of things made up to make a successful, whatever it is, a successful transaction, a successful movement, a successful anything, and that there are various different activities that go into that. She understands the value of education, certification. She's been through all of it, but she's also one of those true practitioners who've gotten her hands dirty and done the hard work and really just sort of, done every part in her career. So I'm not going to waffle on anymore. I'm going to let the real professional do the talking. And so I want you all to just please welcome Sibongile and sit back, relax, and enjoy what she's going to tell you. But please remember to do the polls. And please remember, if you've got questions, ask them early on. I'll be watching the discuss. She doesn't need to worry about that. I'll watch that. And then hopefully if we've got time, we can address those at the end. All right. So I will chat to you later.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to try and share accordingly here. Thank you, Jenny, for that wonderful, introduction. I'm struggling to share here. I don't know what is happening because on my screen, I see multiple screens. So I'm going to stop sharing, and Jenny, I think if you may please share for me. I just don't know what's happening.
Okay, give us 2 minutes and we'll sort.
If I share, I see multiple screens.
Yes, it's a bit busy. I'm not sure, but it did come to one screen. If you just try it. Caden, have you got this? Can you share your screen and the slide?
Okay. Let's see what happens.
It's okay. Caden's got it. She's on it.
Oh, she's on it. Okay. Perfect.
Great. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you'll be driving for me, Kathleen? Or do I drive?
Just let me know when to go next.
Okay, perfect. So I'm sure most of you as young professionals, welcome to the conference. I'm happy to be and honored to be presenting at this moment, this time. And I chose this particular topic, breaking ground in the supply chain management space. You can go to the next slide. So I've chosen this title probably for, I think, selfish reasons, because I've been in practice and I'm combining now practice and academia. So that's why I've chosen this topic, because I've been in practice and I've seen how we struggle, I think, as leaders and as people who've come through into the space of supply chain management. So here I'll be talking about our profession. I'll talk about what does it mean, to be in the space, in the supply chain management space. And I will look at the qualities of being a supply chain management professional. I refuse to be called an officer or a practitioner, because I believe that we are professionals. And we touch on, look at what are the blind spots when we are a supply chain management professional. And we talk about elevating our profession. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So I want us to understand, what is it? I know that you're there, you young professionals, you've been to school. Some of you are still students. Some of you have entered the space, young professionals. But, we know that academically we study, we go there, we are told what is supply chain management. I think I like the definition or the description. Maybe it's not a definition, but that it is an overarching, it's like a bird up there, like an eagle in the sky, that connects or links the various, processes in our space to achieve, because the ultimate goal is to be competitive in supply chain management. We know that if we're not competitive, what happens? So yeah, that's academic and other stuff that we learn. But when we get into the workspace, what does it mean? I've asked various, what does it mean as I went in there? For example, what does it look like? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, most of us, when we got there, we got a shock of our lives. Because you go there, you're like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to be taught step by step, and then I work, and this is, structured environment sort of. But, we know we have the public sector space, we have the private sector space, and, but I've always said, even when I moved from public sector to private, when you interview, I'm like, supply chain is supply chain management. So if you know the basics, if you know the concept, you can operate anywhere as long as you are willing to learn. Because in supply chain, believe you me, we learn every day. And in the workplace, it's quite dynamic because you arrive there. I think when we go to the slide of, the next slide of, what the qualities, we will explore what it means when you get there. What do you find? Because what does it look like when you get there? You get there, you get an office, you expect to be taught more. I don't think I was taught when I got to supply chain management. And most of us, I think when we got into the space, it was still, it was still purchasing, procurement, it was still buyer sort of. We had not evolved to the strategic sourcing or the strategic point of buying or the supply chain management, because you got there, it was either logistics, it was called a whole lot of things. But maybe you are, I think, very fortunate because you get to a space where SAPIX, for example, has played quite, I think, a tremendous role in terms of, transforming the industry. Upskilling people, trying to change, this industry. And also, I think when they came in, they looked at benchmarking, integrating international best practice, evolving, trying to make sure that we evolve within this space. So, but it is a dynamic space. That I cannot lie. When you get into the space, it's dynamic. You must think on your feet. You don't have the time. You hear when you're in supply chain management space, for example, when you get into supply chain, you're told you must, you plug and roll, you plug and play. You plug and play. So there's not enough time for you to be taught like elsewhere where things are very structured, for example. Where you can do, when you get there, things are lined up for you can go from this space into that. So you will see that here you actually look at a lot of things within supply chain. Actually, as an individual, when you get there, you find that actually you touch on a lot of things as you see there. What is it? What is this supply chain management? Yes, there's plan, there's source, you execute, you deliver, you return. We know there's logistics, there's reverse logistics, there's purchasing, there's where, but what is this supply chain? What is this animal? When you ask yourself, oh Lord, what have I gotten myself into? But then we come back. Why I wanted also to look at the current state of supply chain management right now in our country. What are we seeing? What is the perception? And what is it caused by this perception? What is the perception? We know that is not good. We are seeing the Zondo Commission. We can see what's happening. when we read the papers, when we look at service delivery, supply chain management is included there, it's involved. When you look at supply chain management, what is it that are you proud to be here? Because the perception that is there doesn't make, well, actually we feel as professionals that we are left there and we're naked. We left there like we're orphans. Anything that goes wrong in the organizations, now in the country, it is supply chain is blamed. What is happening? What are you seeing there? So I'm asking, is this dynamic profession of ours understood? What do you think? I'm asking that question to what do you think? Is our profession understood out there? Are the organizations that we work for understanding our profession? And we can ask those questions, but when we ask ourselves, what are we doing, to make our profession understood? What are the actions that we are taking? What are our behaviors saying? Because yes, SCM somewhere is called, it's mixed most of the time. Some people will call SCM procurement. Some will call logistics. Some will call it distribution. Some will call it a whole lot of things. But it is all those things, because those are just elements, within the supply chain. As I've said, if you see that definition, it is an overarching, concept. It is an overarching function. Everything else falls in within the supply chain management. But is it understood? I do not think so. Because why I'm saying that, if you look at what is happening, if you listen, if you've been listening, you've reading, if you go there in the supply chain management space, who are the people that are culprits there? We'll leave this discussion for another day, or as we continue, you can go to the next slide. So I am saying, in practice, what does it mean to be us, to be a supply chain management program? Are you proud? Because I always tell people that, yes, people are saying CFOs, are the ones that are driving the organizations, are the ones that are very important. But I disagree. Okay, let me say, I put my point of contention because I believe that I am boss. Yes, the CFO manage what I go and spend, actually. They put up the budget, but I go and spend that budget. I get to decide how I spend that budget, who I spend it with, or the organization spends. I go and look at those people. And I also have the ability or the authority to look at what the service or the goods or the service, whether it's infrastructure or the works, I preside over those functions. So what does it mean? You need to look at what is your role within supply chain, because you are the center. Your actions, cuts across the entire value chain of the organization. A friend of mine whom we've partnered with in opening NS Business School was relating this story that, I went to the hospital. I took my grandma that I love to the hospital. And she had hypertension. And I took her there. On a number of occasions, she couldn't be treated because of what? There was no medication for her. And if she looked, because she is in this space, she said, I had to drill and say, why there is no medication in the hospital? Drill down and look at the roots, not the symptoms. No, because an order has not been placed. No, because we have not gone out. So our actions impact a whole lot of people, even the lives of people. If you look at service delivery, it's also, we're told it's supply chain management. You go and look at the Treasury review in terms of supply chain management. You look at the skills audit that your SAPICs, your SIPs are currently doing. What do we have there? And why are we allowing that as supply chain management professionals? So what is required versus your expectations? So this is what I ask. You go there, you think that, I'm happy, I'm going to work for this big conglomerate or this public sector, because one of the surveys that has been done on young professionals, SEM professionals, that they were very excited to work in supply chain management because of the impact the societal impact that they'll make. But do we understand what does that mean for example. So you get there, you must plug and roll. If you employ people now, you'll see, and actually now our skill is becoming more and more scarce in terms of skill and expertise, because that's what organizations are looking for. Look at the pandemic that has happened now. What has happened? We're looking at innovations, and I believe that young professionals, what we've seen from what young professionals are bringing because of their fresh thinking and ideas and mindset is very, 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 very critical. It's very important. It's refreshing. Because, with young professionals, they are out there, they have nothing to lose. They're thinking forward. Even the school that we are in here, for example, when I talk to my kids, they tell me that school is outdated. And do you agree that? To some extent, I agree. Because it doesn't talk to the millennials of today. They're asking me, why do I need to understand and to cram and have mentals when I have a calculator? I'm like, oh, okay, I'm taking a back. And they'll ask me about a lot of questions. Why do I have to do this when I have this technology? When we have this doesn't talk to us anymore. This is not talking to us. And this is actual, and they know, I think you young professionals know what you want. And I believe that this space is the space that is really right for you, I think for young professionals to actually play in, because you are dynamic. You must think on your feet. But those thinkings, remember that there's responsibilities and accountabilities that come within the next slides that I'll come to talk to you about. So when I'm saying we contrast with other professions, for example, why I'm saying what is required versus your expectations, you were in institutions or you were elsewhere, practical, doing your work, but when you come into the space, it's quite different. The other professions, for example, you can even you will be mentored nicely. This is what you do. This is how we can take accounting, for example, or engineering, for example. This is the system. This is your SAP. This is your Oracle. Any other system, your Pastel. This is how you record your transaction. This is what you do. You pull a report. You do 1, 2, 3. But when you come to supply chain management, yes, you'll get a request. But that request says what? And that request is sometimes it may be just vague. What do you do with that request? You go, for example, and say, yeah, this is the request you get. When you get something, remember that when you're in supply chain management, when the popo hits the fan, it is you that is responsible. When the auditor general or any other auditor, if you are in the private sector, when they come through and look for it, they're asking for the supply chain. You have put this in place. So this is what you, and some of the things are urgent. There was the pandemic. You didn't, the practice or the procedures or the policies that you have, they didn't work. So you had to think outside of the box, or you remove the box. What I like with the young professional is that there is no box. And this is what we need within supply chain management. There is no box. You need to think there are the lives, there are the, the operations of the business are collapsing. What do you have to do? What can you do, for example? So, and I'm asking a question mostly that why the obsession, with the supply chain profession? It is, nobody wants it, but everybody wants it. Nobody knows it, but everybody can tell you, can give you, they can tell you how to do your function. That is why I'm saying in here, what is required, you are not the expert. Everybody will tell you, everybody knows how, can tell you how to do this, how to do it. But when you have done it, guess what? If you haven't done it right, guess what? They can even tell you where to go and get it. And if you get it, you get it wrong there. And if that supplier, whoever service provider is given you and didn't deliver, who is accountable? Those people are not there to take that. You can go to the next slide. So I'm asking, what are the qualities of an SCM professional? So the recent study that has been done, I think, is conducted, shows that for young professionals, and I think this applies to all us, the Gogos, in this space, those that have been there, it's analytical skills. When that request, when that requirement, that demand comes to you, believe you me, it may come from the best, from the CEO of the organization, but you need to analyze it. And trust me, within SEM, you do also use, you use a lot of your inner abilities as well. They talk to you a lot. So analytical skills are very important. You need your ears on the ground. when you are, you need to know. You need to know your markets. You need to, and as much as analytical skills it's important, I always say you need to have effective people skills, working relationships. If you look at that diagram on the other side, it's because you are actually one, but you're actually encompassing and working with a lot of people. A whole lot of people. It's when you're in supply chain, it's like you are in the practical space of an MBA profession. You understand all the different facets of business. You have to understand them. And when I'm saying analytical, it's because you need to understand. When I ask people that, you cannot be in this space, whatever you are involved in, whether you are in the warehousing, whether you are in the planning phase, in the demand phase, you are linked to the next one. And the weakest link, believe me, a bad supply chain or anything that goes wrong, a strong supply chain is as strong as its weakest link. So that's what happens. So you encompass, you put together cross-functional things. You engage with different stakeholders. You engage. Trust me. You sit at Parliament, for example. You sit in boards of organizations. You interact with boards as a supply chain management professional. So you can be a young professional, but unfortunately, this is what comes with this function of ours, with this profession of ours. Communication skills. I cannot emphasize enough the communication skills in this space. Believe me, even if you've messed up, even if something doesn't work right, but if you communicate, if you inform upfront, your partners, your clients, they tend to trust you more. They tend to, even the anger, the understanding comes better. And then you become a negotiator. There is no way you can be in this space without being a negotiator. This is a skill. And what we find in our country is that we are very apologetic. You find very minimal. You do not find this skill quite a lot. You are given something, you accept it. You don't, why I'm saying you analyze? Because when you have these skills, when you analyze, it becomes easier for you to negotiate. We have many levers. When you have information, there's nothing that can actually, go against you. If you have information, you analyze your space. When you come into it becomes now second nature. It's a second skin. It's when you're a supply chain management person, you analyze everything you get. You analyze whether it's an email, you analyze, and you need to have those financial, skills. Unfortunately, you see how you are broad in terms of the broader skills that are required from you. Because you need to know the price, you need to know the indices. Unfortunately, you need to monitor the markets, because today something that happens today or that has been predicted today can affect your organization tomorrow or next week. You can be on the ground, so you need to understand as well, because you are going to do these things. Even when you evaluate, for example, you know that you do this. But why I've bolded leadership, and it's something that is not being said. And it's something that even in this study that I've looked at, in the survey, it's not there. Do you know that as soon as you enter the supply chain management space or an organization as a supply chain management professional, you become a leader, you assume leadership? Do you know that? I'm asking you that question. Do you know that you become a leader by virtue of you being a supply chain management professional? You become a leader. You manage people, you lead, you provide guidance, you provide counsel, you engage, stakeholders, various stakeholders. You talk, you need to have the project management skills are there, but I know you get to learn them, but you need to have them. But these ones I think are very, and leadership, it's most critical. Because you get in there, you're given whatever you have to do, whether you're in warehouse, you are responsible for that. You get to engage the CEO. You get to tell the CEO, the CFO what to do. Do you know that? I don't know if you know that. You can go to the next slide. So here, I'm still saying again, I start with the why, the obsession with SCM. So for you to avoid pitfalls. Remember that even when a boss can say, I do not like what I've seen for me in this space, is that you will find bosses or your bosses, I don't want this thing, it can be, but they will not, because it is a powerful function. It's a powerful function that connects you and links you to various, even global. Remember, we're not talking just local, global. It spans. You talk to various, even the chair of the board, the chair of the organization can call you and speak to you. If it's the minister, they talk to you. But what do you get instruction from all different directions? Trust me. What do you do to avoid those pitfalls? You have a significant risk for this function. Remember that to whom much is given, much is expected. So this responsibility that is given to us, sometimes we become pompous, we become arrogant. And I know that as young professionals, you come in the space, you find us that have gone to the Bantu, system, and we talk, we don't roll, our tongues when we talk, and you think, this one, I can be their boss. Trust me. Just learn. Get as much as you can from me. Sponge everything that you can before you go up, because you will get to nobody can teach you better, I think, practical in supply chain space unless you are in the space, unless you practice. And you find people that are like us, like other colleagues that we have, Eugenics, who are very passionate about it. We will impart knowledge to you. We will give you those pitfalls, because they will give you responsibility, trust me, sometimes. Because they know that they are going to give you instructions. And because you are not ready, you will act upon those instructions. Be careful of those instructions from all directions. Remember, supply chain management, each organization is very regulated. So you have procedures, you have policies and stuff. Look at those policies. But I always warn that with those policies, do not be a person that is not able to be flexible, a person that is not agile, to look at how do you assist your organization, you align your organization for it to be competitive, and not for the policies and procedures to be a hindrance to achieving competitiveness for your organization. So it comes with that responsibility. Make sure that you know the delegations, you know your accountability and what is entrusted to, what is the authority for you. So those instructions, remember that you must read. My young professionals, read. We are a nation that doesn't read. We don't like to read. And I think you are fortunate because you are affiliated to SAPICS. Even though we are lazy to read, they organize events for us to actually get the practical experience, and to also keep up to date with best practice, because it's very important. If you don't continue to upskill yourself, you will fall in this space. You will not know what happened to yourself, even yourself as an individual. So keep upskilling. And all I'm saying, read, even documents that are brought to you. Remember that as a young professional, you will get, or as a professional in this space, there are many documents that come to you. Be careful of documents that come to you just before you knock off. Do not sign them. Do not give decisions at that time when you're in a hurry. Put them there, give them, read, so that you understand when your signature is there. What does it mean? Don't like the power and the authority that, yes, I am the boss. Read, because between the fine lines, there are things that will put you in trouble. And they've put a lot of colleagues in trouble. So please read and collaborate, learn amongst each other. Even if you are not within the same organization, what I like about organizations like SAPICS, our business schools, and various, your ISCAs of this world, is that we are creating that space. The SCM professional space that people should interact and collaborate and learn from each other. Because we cannot repeat. Look at the SOEs now. Look at government. I mean, we've seen this in ESCOM. We thought that was the end. But we saw that trickle to SAA. We are seeing it trickling to Transnet. We are seeing it trickling to various organizations. So let's learn, what is it that we can do as a community of professionals? So keep a look for those pitfalls. There are many pitfalls. I cannot even, mention them. Suppliers know, my young prophet, let me warn you on this one. Suppliers know when you are broke. Right? So do not accept those golf invitations. Do not accept invitations. When I know they say we must keep a register. Trust me. You will not be able to be objective when you have received from a supplier a trip to overseas, when you have received a Rolex from a supplier, when you have received, I can count a lot of things. Make yourself a good favor. Do not accept, I think, obnoxious gifts that actually you will not even be able to afford yourself. Be careful of those. And a supplier knows. A supplier can dangle a carrot. A supplier will know that you have not paid your school fees for your kids. A supplier will know that you're struggling in your car, you were stuck in the morning. You phoned your friend. Be careful. Be careful of what you say as well. Be careful, because when you are out there, when a procurement process, for example, is out there, do not mix with the suppliers that you know are actually tendering, because tomorrow, the reputation of the organization, remember that you're not operating as yourself when you're in supply chain. You are like a celebrity, if I may put it that way. The eyes are on you. If I may warn you with that. So be careful of those pitfalls. You can go to the next slide. So elevating our profession. This is it's a topic that I'm really passionate about. So I'm asking you, as young professionals, as we are out there, we are no longer in the space, maybe in terms of we are making space for you to get into the space. We are just advisory right now and stuff. But what do you think? Where from here? What am I talking about when I'm talking about supply chain profession? Why are we professionalized? Why professionalize SEM? Do you know that supply chain management is not a profession that is recognized, like your psychers, your accounting professions, your engineering professions, your nursing profession, we can count them. But this profession that makes so much noise, it's not professionalized. And why? Because I'm saying it's by design sometimes for a number of reasons. So, but I'm saying, let us look at how we can professionalize. And I'm glad that SAPICS is involved, and the Supply Chain Management Council of South Africa, various organizations that sit there at the Supply Chain Management Council, that are sitting there in terms of making sure that we are professionalizing supply chain management. And I know that SAPICS is actually a big driver of that, because they have actually started to now even designate, because we don't even have designation. You may have a doctorate in supply chain, trust me, but you will find a mere engineer can tell you what to do and can tell you, because this is what we do in the space. We don't know who we are, and we don't stand our ground in supply chain. When you are here, you need to have a thick skin. And when I said what it means when you are there, it means you will be fired if you stand your ground. But when you know who you are and you have the skill, and when you have the skill, nobody can challenge you. So when you stand up there, you will be challenged. So you need to know that as a young pro, you will be challenged, and your life will be made difficult in this space, because people believe that it is not your money, it's my money, you're a support function. But where they forget that when Popo hits the fan, you are a support function, so you need to stand. And when we professionalize, it's that we need to give our profession that recognition and respect that it deserves, because we go through pressure, we go through a whole lot of emotions. People have lost their jobs. There's a lot of things that have happened. The time doesn't permit, but I think I will end there. For your question, you can go to the next slide for questions.
Yeah, really well done. Thank you very much. I actually just posted in the chat that we don't really have time for questions, but I'm going to send them to you, and then maybe you could give me answers to them, and then we can circulate them to everybody who's in the group, because you certainly stimulated a lot of thinking, and I do believe that one of the questions, which was about corruption, which is the thing that's on all of our minds, you really did answer that and stand up to that, is that just be aware and don't get duped. If something's too good to be true, it probably, or what is it? Yeah, if something's too good to be true, it probably is.
Probably is.
Yeah. So super. Thank you so much indeed. And your passion, as I said at the beginning, shines through, and people like you will help people like us and young professionals coming forward to get this profession recognized and valued for the important thing that it is. So thank you very much. Everybody, you've now got a choice of sessions to go to, and we are bang on time. So you either need to rush to the loo stop now or hold on until the next session ends. But I'm going to hand you over to my colleagues. You need to leave this session now and then choose which of the sessions you want to go to. And thank you again so much, Sibongile, really, for your time and your energy.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everyone. See you in the
much.
next one.
Bye.
Bye.